to Advanced and Performance Driving. I'm Reg Local. Yeah, no, we're not driving, but I am still at that point in my motorcycling career where I consider myself to be a driver who rides a motorbike rather than a motorcyclist. I'm sure that'll change as time goes on. I last put a motorcycling video on about the end of May, beginning of June, something like that. I think it might have been a little bit later than that. But in that video, it was the last time I rode the Fazer, and it was the day before I traded it in for a new bike, and I promised you a video about the new bike. Sorry it's taken so long, but here it is. Now I can put a lot of the blame for the new bike on Daft Andy. Andy and I went to the Nürburgring back in May. You've probably seen the video. And spending quite a bit of time with a friend who's into bikes can be quite expensive if you're into motorcycles yourself. Shortly after returning from Germany, booked a test ride at Bowker's BMW in Preston. And I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but Bowker's have been fantastic, really good dealers to deal with, very flexible on a number of things. And I went to meet the man with the easiest job in the world, BMW bike salesman. These things just sell themselves. He just gave me the keys, I went to ride it for an hour or so, and job done, it was sold. So what's the what about? Well, it's a BMW S1000XR, which is a bit of a hybrid really. It's sort of a cross between an adventure touring type bike and a sports bike. It's got the running gear from the S1000RR in it. They say it's sort of detuned a little bit, but it's still got 165 brake horsepower, which means this thing really does go like a stabbed rat if you wind it up. So let's park up and have a quick look around it, talk you around the bike. So here it is. It's a 2018 BMW S1000XR. So the S1000 means that the engine transmission is based on BMW's sports bike, the S1000RR, but it's in a much more comfortable package for gentlemen of slightly older years like me. It's new colour scheme for 2018. This is the BMW Motorsport colours. I think it looks ace. It's just a lovely thing, like the last bike. It's a lovely thing to own, never mind anything else. It's got a 1 litre 4-cylinder engine, but says 165 brake horsepower. To put that into context, the first police traffic car that I drove back in the 90s was a Rover 827, and that put out 170 brake horsepower, and that was a reasonably quick car in its day. This has 165 brake horsepower. This is a Sport SE model, so it's got lots of bells and whistles on it. It's got traction stability control, it's got corner ABS, it's got some things that my car hasn't got, cruise control for instance, heated grips. Comes with the wiring for the BMW sat-nav, which I've also got. And BMW's Gear Shift Assist Pro, which is a sort of quick shifter system, like a semi-automatic gearbox. So the gearbox operates in exactly the same way as any other motorbike. 1 down, 5 up, neutral between first and second. But once you've set off from stationary, you don't need the clutch to change gear. You just tap the gear lever up and down. As long as you're accelerating, it'll change up, and as long as you're decelerating, it'll change down. So that's the bike. I think it's a lovely piece of kit. It's probably the nicest thing I've ever owned, to be honest. Since I bought the bike, so Bought the bike in June, it's October now. Put it to plenty of use. Got over 3,000 miles on the clock now, so I'm using it every day for commuting to and from work, using it at weekends, trying to get as much experience as I possibly can. So that's the bike. Let's go and take it for a ride and see what we think. So that's the bike. What's it like to ride? Well, first thing to bear in mind if I'm going to give you a comparison is I haven't got a lot to compare it against. I've ridden a 125, a CBR 600, a Fazer 1000 and this. So if you're looking for a detailed comparison with other similar motorbikes, I'm afraid this isn't the video for you. I can give you my personal experience of the bike though and tell you what I think of it. First of all, it really is fantastically comfortable for me. The seating position is nice and upright. Seat's very comfortable. I'm a little bit on tippy toes when I put my feet down because I'm a bit of an odd shape. I've got a long back and short legs, but it's manageable. It's perfectly manageable. Got quite used to that now. And as soon as the bike is moving at very low speeds, the first thing you notice is it's extremely easy to manoeuvre at low speeds. Certainly compared with the Fazer and compared with the little 600 that I rode for my test. It's a very easy bike to potter around on at very, very low speeds around town. So I don't know if that's to do with the frame geometry or the size of the handlebars or a combination of a number of things, but it just feels, even though it's a heavy bike, it's about 220 kilograms, it feels really light when it's on the move, which for somebody fairly new to motorcycling is really nice. A lovely view from up here. So then the next thing you notice, aside from the comfort and the ease of manoeuvring at slow speeds, is this engine. So the engine pretty much dominates this bike. It's a fantastic unit. 4-cylinder 1000cc, 165 brake horsepower in something that weighs just about 220 kilograms. Gives it a power to weight ratio somewhere in the region of 800 brake horsepower per ton, which is right up there with your Bugatti Veyrons and that sort of level of high performance car if you want to compare it to a four-wheel vehicle. And I don't think the comparison with the car is that easy, because yes, it's got phenomenal acceleration, but it's only got 2 tyres. It hasn't got the performance of the braking and cornering that cars have got. But it's certainly in raw numbers, in terms of raw power to weight, this thing is really ballistic, it really is. But having said that, it doesn't feel like it's desperate to go all the time. It's very, very nice to ride in traffic at slow speeds, around town, 30-40 mile an hour. The bike isn't fighting against that, it's quite easy to ride at low speeds. It's got some very nice little bells and whistles on it. So this is the Sport SE model. It's got a very complex stability and traction control system on it, which I'm very grateful for. It's got cornering ABS, which I'm told means that you can squeeze the brakes quite hard in a corner in an emergency and the bike will pull you up. Not that I want to be trying that. I think it would have to be a dire emergency for me to be braking in the corners in this thing. The quick shifter that BMW call the Gear Assist Pro is fantastic, and you can change gear without the clutch on any motorbike really if you match the revs properly, but on this you only really need the clutch for setting off from stationary. It can miss occasionally going from first to second as you're going through neutral, so I tend to use the clutch changing from first to second, especially when the bike's cold. But outside of that, if you're changing up through the gearbox, as long as you've got some throttle open, you just tap the gearbox and it matches the revs and changes up, and the same when you're changing down through the gearbox. As long as you've got the throttle closed, the bike matches the revs and just changes down when you tap the gear lever. There's no need for you to use the clutch. So now that, it's not to say that using the clutch on a bike is a massive faff, and it certainly wasn't the reason I bought the bike, but actually it's a really nice little thing to have. A bit like stepping into a car with paddle gear change. If you've never used one before, it's very nice the first time you use one. Let's give it a little rev in the tunnel. I know I'm 49 years old, but there's still a 14-year-old inside me somewhere. Who could resist that? Another feature that I find myself using quite regular is this switchable rider modes. So very much like you get in modern cars these days, it's got fly-by-wire throttle, so you can have different modes on how the throttle and traction control work together. On this bike there's 4 modes. At the moment I've got it in rain. The road's starting to dry. I might just flick it across from rain into dynamic, which gives it a sharper throttle response. I tend to use that in the dry. It gives it a sharper throttle response, pops and bangs on the overrun when you lift off the gas, like that. And the bike feels quite exciting when it's in that. But outside of that, it's got a rain setting that sort of softens the throttle response off. It's got a road setting that's a bit of a default position between everything. But I quite like this bike in dynamic mode. It's also got electronically adjustable suspension, so I've got it in road mode at the moment. I'm going to switch that to dynamic. And tied in with those different modes, certainly with the different rider modes, at different levels of intervention from the traction control, stability and wheelie control and things like that. And I've been using this bike a lot. It's done over 3,000 miles now since I got it back in June. It's been pretty much my daily driver, daily rider. Unless there's a really good reason not to, I tend to commute on the bike. It's a lot less stressful on the bike. You keep moving, you can filter through traffic when it builds up, especially on the M60, which is awful at the best of times. And generally speaking, if people leave you the room, you can filter through gaps like that. I'll leave it today. I'm just going straight on. Bike's got heated grips, which I've just got on. I'll put them onto 1. Really good set of heated grips on it. To find if your hands are warm, you feel a little bit warmer on the bike in general. So in that over 3,000 miles, I've not had any problems with the bike. Servicing costs are quite expensive on BMWs, I have to say. First service comes around at 600 miles, which is a bit of a surprise. Well, it wasn't a surprise, I knew about it before I bought it, but it came around pretty quick. And the next service is at 6,000. But it's a pretty highly strung engine, to be honest. 1000cc engine revving to 12,000 revs. Tyres are Bridgestones on this. They are just starting to square off a little bit at the moment after 3,000 miles. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to get another 3,000 out of them. Carry on riding it like it is at the moment before I need to change them. I'll get another 3,000 out of them, I would have thought. So as far as my riding's concerned, I'm still really enjoying it. I've done about 8,000 miles this year so far. Not done my advanced test yet, but that's the next thing on the list. In fact, I'll be booking that early next week. And I'll have a chat with the examiner. If he's happy to film it, I'll film the experience and take you through my advanced bike test with you. I'm going to do it with the IAM. I'm an examiner for the IAM on cars, but I think it'll do me good to go through the test process as an associate would if they've been on a course. I've been out with a couple of friends who are good advanced motorcyclists, getting a few tips. I think I'm ready for the test now. So hopefully the next bike video that you see in the next few weeks' time will be me on the advanced bike test. And I'll show it you warts and all. However well or otherwise I do on the test, I will share that with you. Watch for this Toyota turning right in a minute. There he goes. I should write a book. So that's the new bike. I appreciate this kind of bike isn't for everybody, but I'm thoroughly enjoying owning and riding this pretty much on a daily basis. I keep sharing the motorcycling experience with you, but I have got some more car videos planned over the next few months. So if you're not into bikes, don't feel like I'm forcing this down your neck. There's going to be plenty of car stuff coming up over the next few months as well. The next bike video will be Reg doing his advanced bike test. See how we get on with that. But for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Go and have a look at the website as well, reglocal.com. Loads more information about advanced and performance driving there. And give us a follow on Twitter as well, at reglocal. But until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.